All right, what's up, everybody? Got a pitching tips video for you guys, but it is something a little different. So instead of the typical pitching tips, how to get great at pitching, it's, rinse, repeat. This is my third year doing that now. I'm going to change it up a little bit. It's going to be how to master pinpoint. Specifically, I'll do a separate video on tunneling. I always do. That needs its own whole video. We're just going to talk about pinpoint a little bit here. Just how to get good with pinpoint. I'm not going to take too much of your time up. I'm going to get right to the point. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to pitch a Randy Johnson. I use JR_Stroh's roster. Shout out JR. Love you for this. Download it from the vault. I'll have it in the description. Hopefully, if I remember to put this in there. That's what I use. It has all the meta pitchers right now that you would be using, generally speaking, if you collect everybody in the game, or just if you're using some really good options. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go over Randy's 5 pitches. He has every pitch you kind of need that's a little bit difficult, and we'll throw a sinker and a cutter guy too as well. We got Musina in here. We'll run him so I can show you guys how to do the pinpoint on that as well. We'll go through all the pitches, and I'll explain you my mindset on them and how I nail them every single time. I'm one of the better pitchers out there that you'll find. I'm not tooting my own horn. It's just the numbers. I'm really consistent with my pinpoint. It's probably the best thing, for me in terms of skill. The most consistent thing is my pitching, because it's rather rhythmic once you get used to it. But enough rubbing myself on this video. Let me just go right into it and show you guys how I do what I do with pinpoint and what I think about and what I keep in my mind, because that's the most important part. So let's get into it. So let's go through the first pitch. 4-seam fastball, very simple. It's straight down, up. You guys want to match the tempo of the little bit of the preview that you're seeing right there. You want to match that tempo. Now, where do people get hung up on fastballs? This is the easiest pitch to throw, obviously, in pinpoint, but people can get hung up on it. Sometimes you'll mess up. Sometimes they'll get too caught up in flicking down and up and not realize that they're lifting their finger up on the way up, and they're kind of like losing that traction. You want to make sure you go down and then keep it, not like that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to flip up like that. Down, flip up. What you want to do is you want to keep that traction, keep that pressure on it, down, up. When you reach that, you reach the summit, right? When you're going down on that, when you go down, we want to keep it down. You don't want to reach down, then lift a little bit of pressure, and then flick back up. It's all one motion. Almost like you're slingshotting back. You're not going flick down, flick up. You're going down, and then you're slingshotting back. One more time. Right there. I messed up the bottom part, but that doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to show you guys where the weakness is for 4-seam fastballs and how to overcome that. Now, that goes on my first point. See it all the way through. That kind of goes on my first point. See it all the way through with the 4-seam fastball. It kind of reflects there, but it's more seen in the slider. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. You're not doing you're not inputting a motion. That's not what you're doing with pinpoint. Don't think about it like that. You are tracing the outline of the preview you were given. So look at the slider. Watch the preview. You're tracing that. You're not doing your own thing. You're tracing it. So if you have trouble with the pinpoint, watch this first, see it all the way through, and let it do its thing. See it all the way through. Okay? I'm messing up the easiest part, which is funny. One more time. Same deal. 100%. Okay, so this Randy's got weird control. But that's how you rock with that. See it all the way through. Now, it's going to be a little more difficult on the back door because just the way that you do it, I don't know why. It's a little weirder for me. I don't know. I guess it's harder to control, but same idea. You just trace. Because you have to, instead of pushing it to the left, you're pushing it to the right. And it's awkward, right? When you're like this, pulling it down to the right as opposed to pushing to the left. It's not natural. One more time. Trace. Trace it, guys. I'm routine with the slider, man. It's automatic. That's enough of that. Very simple. Trace, trace, trace. It's not an input. It's not jamming. It's not flicking. It's tracing the outline you were given. Splitter. This is the toughest one in the game to throw. And I am very good at it. How am I very good at this? Well, it's a combination of my first 2 points. The first point, which is see it all the way through. Remember that it's more of a rubber band. You're bouncing back. You're going to one side and then slingshotting back. You are not going flick, flick, flick. You're dragging, bouncing to one side, and then bouncing up back to the other one. That's what you want to do. Bouncing from each side to the apex. And then you'll finish the pinpoint that way. As opposed to the second point, which is tracing. You just got to watch the motion. Some people don't know that you're going, look, just watch it. It's a bouncing motion. You can even see it in the preview. Bounce. It's not flick, jab. No. It's like this. And remember, guys, go slower with the splitter than you think you need to. I was too flicky on that right side. I got 92%, which is way better than you really need, to be honest with you. We'll try it again. 100%. I'm very good with the splitter. I'm very consistent with it. It's an important pitch to be good with Randy Johnson. You need to be good with the splitter. This spot right here, a little bit of a tidbit, is my favorite spot to throw this pitch to righties. You throw it down here, it's going to get mashed to. And you throw it down here, it's going to get crushed. It's going to get seen all the way in. You don't want to throw it on corners, guys. Splitters don't go on corners. They go a little bit above the midway point. Not here. Well, it could go here. It's okay here. But it's better in between the corner and the middle part of the zone. It's a harder... You have to have way better PCI accuracy to get your PCI here as opposed to here. Anyways, that's going to be in the tunneling video. One more time for the one time. There you go. Perfect. That's all you got to do, guys. Hold on. Also, I recommend this if you're having disconnect problems. The colored controllers for the DualSense 5, the PS5, and Xbox too, but specifically DualSense, they have a problem with Bluetooth fracturing. It has a slight moment of disconnect where it causes my pinpoint to fracture, to cut off. It gets wobbly and janky. Same with the PCI. So I always put my controllers in. These things stink. Oh, hit the slider by mistake. Okay, that's the splitter. Remember, guys, I go really slow and you bounce from one side to the other. That wasn't great. But at that point, it's more about, like, I'll say this again, too. The most important part about pinpoint, it's not the initial motion. It is very important, but it's not the most important part. It is that last half of the motion. So many times, I've done 60% accuracies, but I nail the bottom part. I get it perfect, and my pitch still goes where I want. Now, I do have a gut feeling, I'm not entirely sure if this is true, that the lower the percentage, the higher chance of that ball, when it gets hit, of getting a crazy exit velo off the bat. But if you throw a good pitch in a good spot, right? If I throw the splitter here, even if it's a lower percentage pitch, but it still hits the spot, there's a good chance they still swing right through it, right? Or make bad contact with it. So I'll take that every time. It's almost like the accuracy, it kind of feels like a core. I mean, obviously, if you tank it, it's going to be terrible. But it feels like the second half of that pinpoint motion is really getting that pitch where it wants to go, especially if you super dot, which we'll get into that later. Probably not, actually. I don't even want to talk about that, but maybe in the tunneling video. There's the slider. I really don't know why I went over the slider there again, but I kind of wanted to show you guys that it was just the second part that matters the most. But that's the splitter, guys. If you want any more questions on the splitter, I'll show you once again. Really be methodical, slow, and you bounce back quick, 97%. Get it right where you want it. A little bit high, but you see the point. Remember, it is movement, bounce, like a banana. Bounce, bounce, middle. You don't go flick, 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 because you're going to get a lot of fractures upon that movement. You don't want to do that. Now, the slurve is one of the easier ones, I think, in the game, to be honest. I think it's exactly... Isn't it exactly the same as the slider? Yeah, the slurve is the exact same thing as the slider. So if you want to know about the slurve, just remember it's exactly the same as the slider. I don't know why that one broke. That didn't feel like it broke on my thing, but it's all good. Good enough. So slurve is exactly the same as the slider. Two-seam, one of the easiest in the game. It's very quick. Very quick. This one, you can get away with a sharp initial movement down and then just kind of drag up, which is what I do. Because it's hard to get that stability going to the right for me, at least. My right thumb does not go down to the right that well. So what I do is I jam it down to that spot, and then I drag 100%. See, it's really also, like, it traces it really well. Even if it's not 100% accurate, you kind of nail it every time. It's very strange. I jam down, then I trace. They're very lenient with that initial movement for the two-seam fastball. I've noticed this a lot. All right, Randy's control is horrid. There you go. Two seam's nice and easy. So, for my strategy with the two seam, we can watch the pitch again. We can watch the preview. Jam down. If you have trouble being accurate, like if you have trouble tracing that initial movement down, jam down, which is what I do, and then I trace. It goes against what I say, but sometimes you gotta wing it. Jam down, then you trace. And if you do that, you'll always nail the two seam. I hardly ever mess it up. I really don't. The two seam should be used in Randy's instance. This is another tunneling tip, so eat this up while you get it here. This is how you should use the two seam. You should throw the fastball here to righties if you want to get it by them. Just going to go through the motions real quick. Right there, you want generally in that spot. Damn, his accuracy is bad. And then if you want to tunnel with that two-seam, you shouldn't go down here to the corner. It'll get mashed too. You should go a little bit off the plate. Maybe a little bit low, but like generally in this area, their eyes are going to see a fastball again, and they're going to try and either mash down to it and be early on it, or they're going to swing straight through that ball. And I've done it a million times. That's that for Randy's pitches. Oh, excuse me. We're going to go into pitching, and we're going to go over Musina's because he does have a sinker cutter, and we'll go over the knuckle curve as well, and that should be the rest of the meta pitches. So we need to do a circle change as well. That's a very important one. We'll go over that as well. But sinker first, very simple movement. You just go down. You could trace the whole if you're comfortable. Why is there a battery? I just realized that. If you're comfortable tracing the entire motion, so going methodically down and going around, do that. But this is the same principle as the two seam. you're very capable of just jamming straight down with the sinker and then going for the trace motion. I don't personally see a reason to do that. I'm very consistent with my sinkers, mostly because I have a lot of practice. You throw a million of them in the last 2 years because they're so ridiculously good. But that's really it. You kind of just do whatever you want. Watch the tracing. The sinker is one of the easier ones in the game, guys. It's very basic. It's like a little bit tougher than a two-seam, I suppose. Maybe even easier, honestly, because you're going straight down as opposed to off to the right. But watch it down. You can just jam straight down like that and then do a perfect trace. Make sure you really press along the outside your stick. Don't loosen up any of that pressure. Keep that pressure around the outside. You're going to lose the traction if you do that. So, like I said, jam straight down. Really, really overemphasize that outward movement, and then you can take care of it that way. These guys have terrible control. Knuckle curve. This one's kind of easy, like a little bit like a two-seam hybrid. Same principle can apply. If you can get this comfortably, you could trace the whole way and go slow and do it very methodically, and you'll be fine. Or you can do what I do, which is jam straight down and then wrap around. Same deal. I generally throw knuckle curves pretty well. I don't throw too many of them because they're not very great in the game, but it's pretty simple stuff. Jam straight down, trace. Boom. And if this was like making any sense, he'd be dotting, but you know, whatever. Knuckle curve, same thing. Jam straight down, trace. That's what I do. If you're comfortable with tracing the entire way, you can go do that as well. I find it to be pretty difficult to do a gentle movement this way. I like to jam it down too as well. I don't know why, it just feels good, but I have pretty good control of my analog stick, so I can get away with that. Now, cutter, this one is probably the easiest one in the game. Very quick, right? So jam, drag. I was kind of late with that too. Now you could trace it too. I show you to the jam and then trace method. You could just trace it straight up. 100%. Boom. I am a very shaky-handed person, but when it comes to tracing things on video games, like the Mario Party games where you trace race, money, 99% multiple times on that. I don't know why I'm good with it. So all that combined has probably got a lot to do with pinpoint, if I'm being honest with you. A lot of pinpoint practice. I'm money with this. There's two ways to approach it, guys. If you don't feel comfortable making that initial movement, jam over and then drag. Obviously, don't do it that slow. I was just showing you to be overly, I was exaggerating. But if you're not comfortable kind of tracing it the entire way, really take advantage of that initial jam and then scoot along with that trace. Okay? Very simple stuff there. Now, we already went over all these pitches. Last pitch should be... we need a circle change-up. Corbin Burns. Does anyone have a circle? Yes. Okay, Devin Williams is better because it's his main pitch. Circle change. This is the hardest pitch in the game to throw other than a splitter. I think it's the second hardest, to be honest. Splitter's probably the hardest because there's a lot more elements to it. What you do here is go really slow. There is no jammability here, guys. You have to trace the entire time and be methodical and do not let up your pressure. This is the most important part about the circle changes. You cannot take your fingers pressure off, and you got to keep that tempo the whole way. It's the hardest one, second hardest one because of that. Slow. See what I messed that one up too. It's also, I've noticed too, not making any excuses, but I'm saying the circle change is the one that seems to be the most hard. It is the hardest one to be consistent with because it feels like it has a lot of just RNG to it. Like sometimes I'll do it perfectly, and the next time I'll do the same way again, and it's not. Go nice and okay. Too slow. Gotta speed it up, I guess. All right, try it again. You know what? Hey, guys, I'm not perfect. A little bit better, 87%. You got to really make sure you match the tempo. Anything above 85%, you should be pretty much in the golden clear, but, you know, we'll see. Nailed it. There you go. See, all I need is a little bit. I need to watch the trace over again, get my tempo down. If you're struggling with a circle change or a splitter, take some time and watch the pitchers do it. Perfect. See, got it down already. There you go. Boom. Dot. Very, very, very complicated. Not very non-complicated movement, but tedious to do. It's obvious what you have to do. It's just a circle. But the problem is you have to really go around slow. See, that was the same thing I've been doing, and now it's just not good. But either way, if you butcher it along the way, don't get frustrated. Make sure you really nail that bottom part, all right? That second half movement to the circle. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, bro. It's janky. Don't beat yourself up over this pitch, guys. It's going to be tough to get consistently, especially from the stretch because the tempo changes completely. The timing of it. There you go. Keep the pressure down. About as good as it's going to get, man. And, while we're here, he's got a screwball. It's the same as a cutter, but it's the other direction. So, same principle. You could trace it, or you could jam, then trace. If you're not as comfortable with it, or you have a steady finger. So, personally, I like to just go a little bit over. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Very simple. God, the control's miserable. That's it. That is very It's very easy to work with there. Now, if we could do... Can we do team practice, team defense? Can I do pitcher, runner on first? Yes. Okay, perfect, perfect. I'm going to throw a circle change from the stretch to show you guys this one. Look how much faster it is now. You see that? It's all about watching the preview. Circle changes are probably the hardest pitch to throw from the stretch. It's so much faster. Nailed that one pretty damn well. That's a bit of a preview. So essentially, it's the same movement. You still keep that same pressure. You just have to increase the tempo, the speed of which you do it. But don't forget, do not sacrifice the pressure or the consistency of the trace for the speed. Okay? Overall, guys, that's what I got for you, man. Nothing too crazy. I was supposed to keep this to be a little bit of a shorter video. That's why I'm not doing a full pitching tips video. I will split this into two. This is just technical work. When it comes into theory of pitching, we'll get into that for a second video. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped. I really hope it helped you guys. A lot of new players this year, man. I want you guys to be all good and ready with Pinpoint. It is by far the best pitching input in the game. It is the most competitive. I recommend you use it highly. And most of all, I hope you have some fun, guys, and figure out how to become a better pitcher so you can enjoy your time playing the game more. Find some fun. It's the most important thing. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you hit that little sub button, man. Hit that bell. If you guys watched to the end, type the word nutcracker in the comment section just so I know you guys are real ones. I'll catch you guys next video, man. Peace.